On throwing shoulder, Brady missed practice on Tuesday, but said he will play Sunday in a first-place showdown with the Jets. Brady added, quote, "I'm good, not worried about it." First-place Jets. Not good.
Yeah.
We're joined by Charlie
What do you
Weiss,
think the odds would have been on that one? Yeah.
who was Brady's offensive coordinator for 3 Super Bowl titles. Charlie, how concerned are you about Brady's shoulder?
I'm concerned with the number of hits that these. It's not just. I'm not concerned so much. If he says his shoulder's good to go, then the shoulder's good to go. Right. But I mean, he's been getting hit a lot. I go and do their games on Sunday. I do a pre and post game show for the games, and then you're watching the game. Now you're studying the game. You're not just watching it anymore. And he's taking a beating. So I mean, I know we've had the big subject of how long is he going to last and how long can he play. I don't think his talent is the question. Okay, but how many hits can you take like that? And it's nothing like last year. I watched a game. I think he's been sacked more this year than he did all last year. So I mean, you only can take so many hits, I believe.
He's tied for fourth most hits this year. Last year he was 26. They should be concerned. And Charlie, you know this. When you have an injury to your upper body, what you try to do is do everything you can not to land on that shoulder. It's non-throwing shoulder, so he doesn't want to land on that shoulder. But in the process, you saying, well, Tommy, you need to land on your right shoulder. Well, that's his throwing arm. So he's in a very tough position. Basically, you're going to say, hey, offensive line, you need to do a better job of protecting him. As a defense, I'm coming to get him. I want Tom Brady to pick himself up off the ground as many times as possible. I want him to drag that 40-year-old body out from under 2 of those defenders as many times as possible. And, Skip, if I get a chance, I might be willing to give up a big play to get a nice, clean, solid hit on Tom Brady. I want him to feel my presence.
Would you give up a 15-yard flag?
Yes.
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 I'll translate from my view of what Shannon's saying. I really think that the Jets would be an error. It would make an error if they didn't go after him.
Yes.
I think that the only chance that I think that they have in the game to beat him would be to knock him out, and then you still don't know what would happen if the other guy came in. But if Tommy weren't healthy, they would play the other guy. Yeah. I think they have enough confidence in the other guys, so that's not the case. So if he says he's ready to go, he is. But I do agree with you. Anyone who's played sports in your case or been around the sport and seen it through the player's eyes, which is what my reputation is, is that I could always see it through their eyes, even though I wasn't a legitimate player. When you're trying to compensate for an injury, something else, is exposed.
Yep.
And I think that because in this case the right shoulder would be what would be exposed, that'd be an area of concern.
I'd rather the left shoulder than the right shoulder. I mean, that'd be even worse. But I get what you're saying.
The 2 games they've lost, what did the teams do? Kansas City and Carolina, they got the Tom.
To Coach's first point on talent, I think Tom Brady is playing at as high a level as he's ever played at in his career. What he's doing is extraordinary. What he did at New Orleans, what he did even against Carolina, every game, he's extraordinary, and he knows he's having to make up for a shockingly bad defense up through 5 games. Even against Tampa the other night, they held him to 14. That was progress. But Jameis threw for 225 in the fourth quarter, and it got hairy. And Tom's going to have to try some things that he might not ordinarily try.
It isn't just the defense he's got to compensate for. It's the Gronk not being at 100%. Edelman's gone. I mean, you're trying to fit all the pieces in, and he always finds a way to do it. Defines a way. Okay, how are we going to manufacture? Now all of a sudden the running backs are starting to get a little bit more involved, which they have some depth at running back, which is not a bad idea. But somewhere along the line, with your defense, they finally played a bit better last week, which was a good sign for the Patriots. In the big picture, but in the grand scheme of things, he can't be compensating for everybody. You can't compensate for the defense and for your lack of players
they got a new
at the offensive
back
skill.
In Gillislee, who missed a big blitz pickup, which got him rocked, and it's just new. Everything's new. And then Stephon Gilmore, I guess he played a little better the other night when they just said, here, you take Mike Evans. But in the fourth quarter, that wasn't working so well.
Yeah, see, that's that's the problem when a player comes in from a system where you got him and you got him.
Yeah.
I think that all players that come into New England end up translating and converting and end up figuring it out. But right now, combo coverages is certainly not his strength.
No.
And I think that's been one of the problems. I think that, I don't think that it's going to be you just cover him and you cover him is the way. He's not going to have his cake and eat it too. He's going to learn combo coverages, or else he's not going to play. That's just the way it's going to end up being.
So, Coach, knowing what you know of Coach Belichick, does he have enough talent on defense to figure this out and make it a Super Bowl quality defense? Because it's so far from that right now.
You bring up Gilmore. My concern is not the secondary. I think that I think between the corners and the safety, my concern is they don't get any pressure on the quarterback. That's my concern. And in all the years of watching the Patriots, there was always heat on the quarterback. There were always that guy that would get heat on the quarterback, and I don't see that heat coming.
But see, Charlie, it's hard, and to these D linemen credit, it's hard to get pressure on the quarterback when you going straight down the numbers. Because Coach Belichick don't like you getting on edges because he don't want to give the quarterback lanes. So he makes you go right down there. Because think about Chris Long. Chris Long won a Super Bowl. Played well. He played well for what they would ask him to do. But he says, I need to feel like I'm a football player. Mm-hmm. It's hard to play. It's hard to play like that. And you mentioned Gilmore. If you sign a free agent and you play him top dollar, you better be willing to use him like they used him where he came from. Because if you don't, you're asking for trouble. And if you look at when they got Darrelle Revis, they played a lot more man coverage because that's what he was good at.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not as much man coverage as in roll away from him.
Right.
Okay, which turns it into a man coverage. Right. Like there's coverages, people don't understand the coverages in the game. But like one of the coverages in New England would be 3 stick the X, which is mean they're playing cover 3 with everyone but him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's just sticking the X. Right. That he's got a man to man. Right. So I think that yes, they could play some coverages like that, but when you're basically a 2-cover team, when they're a cover 2 team, well then zone is zone. I mean, you really there's no you got him. It's cover 2 is cover 2.
Yeah, he come from that scheme where they got that cat football. You got that cat, I got this cat, and let's go play. But Coach Belichick is that, we cover 2. Yep. We might throw a little quarters in here. We might we might kick it. And he's like, and that's why you see Tyreek here run the out and up. They're supposed to be in quarters. He thinking they're in cover 2, and McCourty's looking at him like, bro, that's your guy.
I've seen all too often. They're looking at each other like.
And that's not a good thing either. When players start looking at each other on the field like, what the hell happened? That's never a good sign.
So Charlie, gut feeling, is this a Super Bowl team?
I still think they're one of the best teams in the AFC. Are they playing as good as the Kansas City Chiefs right now? No. Okay, but let's ask you this question: who could beat the Kansas City Chiefs right now? Who would be the team in the NFC that you think could beat them?
Probably New England.
And I think the best chance of anyone right now would be New England. Mm-hmm. So based off of that, if they're the one team that could beat them, then you have to say that they're still legitimate contender.
Don't bet against Tom in the playoffs.
No.
And I'll remind you, on opening Thursday night, it was 27-21 New England going to the fourth quarter, and then a whole bunch of bad stuff happened.
Yeah, and I agree with that comment and Shannon's comment. Like, how can you bet against 12 in a playoff game? I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine doing it.
No, but it will be really interesting this week since the AFC is so tight for some weird reason.
Jets playing for first place.
I said to a friend of mine the other day, I said, what are the odds you would have gotten before the year? It's only 5 weeks in to say that the Jets, the Bills, and the Patriots would be tied for first place in the AFC. What kind of odds? You probably would have gotten 1,000,000 to 1 odds on something like that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Will Cam Newton continue his hot streak? We'll discuss that next.